The FBI raiding President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, and the former president blasting that unprecedented raid, calling it, quote, political persecution. Sources telling Fox that FBI agents looked in every single office and safe, grabbing documents and boxes without going through them on the property. Joining me now, Florida Senator Rick Scott. He's a member of the Homeland Security and Armed Forces Committees. Senator, your reaction to what we know and what we saw happen to the former president yesterday?
Well, first off, it makes you mad. I mean, this is their raid. This is unprecedented. A former president, potential opponent to Biden in 24, his house gets raided. We know the Biden administration targets their opponents. Merrick Garland's targets Democrat opponents. Here's what needs to happen today. Separately, Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, Joe Biden need to do press conference, take all questions, explain why they're doing what they're doing, what each of them knew when. This should scare every American until we get answers. You should have unbelievable concern. I got more phone calls last night about people thinking, what is this? Is this like Latin America, what they do with the political opponents in Latin America? And we know the Democrats just added 87,000 more IRS agents. So we now know the federal government can target almost every American almost every year to go over their taxes. And if anybody's dealt with the IRS, do you feel like they're easygoing, easy to work with, or DOJ or FBI? No, they're tough. And so this is unprecedented. We need to get answers right now.
But do you, as a senator with the majority, with Kamala Harris, the Democrats still controlled the Senate with that tiebreaker vote, and then in the House, the Democrats, for the time being, control the House of Representatives. Do you have any power to do something about this before the midterms, you as a sitting senator?
We have no power other than ask questions, all right? Because they won't come testify. Gary Peters, who runs Homeland Security, will not do an investigation of this. He won't do an investigation of Hunter Biden. He won't do an investigation of anybody that's on the Democrat side. So we have to get a majority. We have to get a majority in the House. We have to get a majority in the Senate so we can find out exactly what's going and make Americans more comfortable that their government's not out to get them. That's exactly what people are worried about right now. Is is your federal government going to come after you because of your political position? That's exactly what the concern Americans have. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, you should be worried. If this is where our government works from now on, if you're going back and forth who's in power and they're going to go after their opponents, this is a tough place to live.
This is not happening in a vacuum. This is not happening in a bubble. This has happened to conservatives and to President Trump over and over again. I go back to the IRS witch hunt of conservatives. Lois Lerner took the fifth. Why? We never got to the bottom of that. And then President Trump, his campaign and his presidency, the target, again, using the FBI and the Justice Department as a political weapon against a candidate and then a sitting president. And then again, because of two FBI agents, Hunter Biden getting a pass that they were.
And they're never accountable. The federal government that does all these bad things, the federal government that does all these bad things and targets conservatives, no one's ever held accountable. No one. You never hear of anybody fired. You never hear anybody demoted. You never hear anything happening to any of these people that do the wrong thing. This should scare the living daylights out of American citizens and say, we have got to change our federal government. The way our federal government has gone, it's like what we thought about the Gestapo and people like that they just go after people. What we thought about Soviet Union, what we look at Latin America. We have got to say to ourselves, this cannot be our country. We have got to say, we're a country of laws, not of people that are attacking their political opponent and getting away with it. I mean, Donald Trump is a potential opponent to Joe Biden. Why is this happening? If it's not because he's a potential opponent, then Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, Christopher Wray need to come out and say, why are they doing that? And why couldn't they do this another way?
How about a subpoena? We raised the issue in Todd Pyre, and I'll talk about it coming up. But what about privileged documents? Again, it just seemed like it wasn't a targeted search based on the reporting so far. But let me raise this issue. There's always a why now. And now Republicans are talking about nothing but, right now, today, and in the days to come, this FBI raid of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, instead of talking about the malaise and financial and economic pain inflicted on voters coast to coast.
We're in a recession. The Democrats just passed a bill that's going to raise taxes over $700 billion. They just cut Medicare. They're raising the gas tax. They had 87,000 IRS agents. They just wasted $280 billion, giving companies like Intel billions of dollars with no accountability. This country is in trouble. And you're right, the Democrats don't want to talk about inflation. They don't want to talk about how crime's up. They don't want to talk about gas prices up, food prices up. I mean, they want to say, oh, we're gas prices are down a little bit. Well, they're still up $2 from when Joe Biden got elected. $2. That's out of people's pockets. I mean, there's a war on seniors. There's a war on the poor right now in this country.
Before we go, Senator, have you spoken to former President Trump?
Not since the raid. I have not spoken to him since the raid. I planned on trying to give him a call this week to find out. So I will try to see what I can find out. But I mean, and on top of that, think about the individuals that work there. I mean, when the FBI comes in, they come in guns a-blazing. I mean, so what was it like when they came in there and acted like you're a common criminal?
Exactly. That's not how Democrats have been treated in the past. Look at Jim Comey, for example. Did the FBI raid, he ran the FBI, did they raid his home looking for the documents that he took with him? I digress, Senator.
Or Hillary with her server.
Right. Exactly. Senator Rick Scott.
It makes you mad. It just makes you mad. We need answers.
We'll see if you get them. We'll see what happens in the midterms as well. Senator Rick Scott, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Bye,
we'll
Dagan.
be right back.
Nice seeing you.